Okay, this is a quick, I wouldn't say a quick video, it depends. Caravan International 181, 2002 model. So she's what, 17 years old? Is it 17 years old? Anyway, there you go, yeah, 17 years old. I had some questions down the coast at the weekend because someone didn't know much about their motorhome that was new to them, which is absolutely fine. Came across, asked me a few questions. He said, I've seen you do a video on repair on this on YouTube on the back end. He said, why don't you do a video on things that people might not know much about? So I'm going to do a quick video and show you. First of all, I'm going to start off, instead of chatting away, right, underneath here, underneath my cooker, okay, you've got 4 gas knobs, and these are to isolate your gas. So we'll start from the first one here, which is that one there, which is the fridge. Then we've got the cooker. And then after that, we've got the boiler. And then after that one, we've got the gas over there. So these are all your isolation valves, and they must be on the, well, on mine, they're the up position, which is on, okay? So he was trying to light his cooker, and not his cooker, his fridge. And the isolating valve, because he didn't know which way it was. So I said, well, if you turn your cooker on, turn the isolation valve in the right way you think. Once you hear the gas come and ignites, it must be that position. So that was one thing we solved. So we turned the gas on. Then he had trouble lighting the fridge. So let's move on to that one. So all mine are in the up position, which are on. Fridge. Fridge has a self-igniting electronic ignition, which comes from the main battery on board, which is the leisure battery. We have several settings on fridges, which you can look at here. So the top one is off, mains, and then we've got battery. Now that will only work when you're traveling along. It will not work when you're stationary, because it just would be a silly thing to do, because it'll just kill your battery. The wattage and the power that the fridge would take to run would just drain your battery in probably less than an hour, and it doesn't work anyway. And then you got your gas. So at the moment I'm plugged in and I'm on electric, okay, because I've still got stuff in the fridge and it's frozen and it's working well because we're going off the weekend as well. So there you go. If I wanted to put it on now to gas, I just turn it right down, and then the light will start flashing, and you'll push in. Now probably you can hear a tick, but mine's on the outside, so I can't hear it. So can you hear that? No. So you push your gas button in, and then it stops. Still hold it in for about 10 to 15 seconds, because you need the thermostat on the outside to reach temperature so that it knows that it's on gas, and it'll stay ignited because it self ignites and stays ignites. You know that, same as a cooker. Let go. If the light carries on flashing, put it in a bit longer and hold it a bit longer. Okay, so that is now running on gas. Occasionally I might leave it, I'll forget sometimes and run it on gas as I'm driving. You're not supposed to, but I have done that in the past, so naughty me. But normally you can put it on battery as you're driving. When you get to your destination, please, you've got to take it off battery or you'll kill your battery. So I'm going back to mains, and that's back on mains now. No flashing lights or anything, it'll just stay there, stay nice and okay, cool. Then to water heater. This is a Truma water heater. Underneath here there's a 10-litre boiler. Underneath there you can see 2 settings, 50, and we get down to focus, 50 and 70. It doesn't matter which one you put. Well, it does. I mean, the hotter we usually have on 70 for a quick, if we're having a shower or whatever. And then if you want to do washing up, 50. Whatever you decide you want to do, you must take the cover off the outside of the vehicle. I'll show you that in a bit, so that this will fire up. Otherwise it will not fire. It'll just, the red light will, it'll come on. Listen, that's the ignition of the boiler now firing. It'll fire for about a minute or so, then they'll have a red light on here flashing, and it'll say no, failed to fire, for the simple reason is the gases aren't escaping. So it's a 10-litre water tank boiler underneath my seat. My leisure batteries are underneath there, and so is my jump leads and everything else, and I'll come to that in a second. Okay, so another question he asked was my gas fire. He couldn't get his gas fire lit, and I said, oh right, okay, this is a different issue now. I'm going to get on the floor, sorry. Right, some of them here, I don't know if you can see that very well. Oops, sorry. I don't know if you can. It's too dark, I think. Anyway, here there's a slide, and the gas fires have their own electronic ignition, which is a battery. I can't show you, it won't focus properly. Okay, let me just pause it for a second. Sorry guys, I'm gonna give it a go. Okay, my fingers are there. I don't know if you can see that. There we go, there it is. Just a little battery, AA battery, on the bottom of my gas fire, and they usually have their own ignition system. So that's another thing, he couldn't get his gas fire going. I said to him about it, it was an older vehicle than this, and I said, just check your battery, and he took his cover off and said, oh, you're right mate, it's AA battery. So that was that one. Okay. Set of jump leads underneath my seat with a small extension, a socket in there for any emergencies. I also have, if I can find them, here we go, two small cables. The idea of these is because my extension leads, my jump leads, aren't quite long enough to my leisure battery. What I do, we were down the coast not long ago and my main battery was failing, so I got black one and red one of these, positive and negative of course, put it on to my battery, which has just extended it enough so I could reach my main battery at the front and then use my leisure battery to jump my main battery. Yes, yeah, that's right. So that's really helpful bit of kit with an extra cable if you want to measure that yourselves. It's well worth it. Never run anything from your mains battery at the front because you need to keep that topped up well. There was another thing I was going to mention as well. This bloke asked me, he had trouble with his TV and it wouldn't initially fire up. He said it was working not long ago, so I was thinking, right, so your batteries must be low. I said, what's your batteries like? And he went, they're down to 8 volts. I was like, you haven't got enough oomph for the TV to kick up, because it takes a lot of power and it needs ampage. So he was really down on his ampage on his leisure battery. So what I told him to do was start the engine, but he'll have to keep the engine running if he wants the telly to run permanently, because it'll just drain it like Billy-O. I don't know if he had a solar panel or not. He was going to fit one, I think. Even then, you'll be struggling if you haven't. If you got maybe a couple 100-watt solar panel and maybe 2 leisure batteries, you could maybe run it all night. I don't know. Anyway, so he was low on ampage, so I told him to start his engine, fire up, and get some more power into his batteries because he thought he'd blown the screen. He did that, come back, and he was like, "Cheers, mate, that works." So another little tip: if your TV doesn't work, you're low on your ampage on your leisure battery, start your engine. That'll trickle charge your leisure battery. All be good. On that note, I think that's it. I'll show you my little. I've got a little light over here which we use at night. Here we go. That one up there. That runs from a wheelchair battery, which I've had running not for years. I've had the battery for years, and I just charge it up, and that'll last months. Actually, we only use it a couple of hours a night, if that, an hour, maybe 2 hours most. It's a little strip LED light. Got those off eBay. I think there was 2 for a tenner. They run down. There's a switch on the side, and that runs underneath, down the cabinet, down that wall down there, underneath the carpet, into my separate. I've got a separate where the leisure battery is. I've got a small wheelchair battery. That's actually quite good. It's a godsend. It stops you from using. I also found in this Caravan International, it's a Italian that they don't like LEDs in the light, so I had to put halogen back in. Hence, that's why I've done that. Okay, if you enjoyed the video, thumbs up, like, that would be great. Share, subscribe, that would be even fantastic. All likes help the channel a great deal. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next vid. All the best. Bye. It's not stopping, is it? Come on, man, what's the matter? It's crashed.